one of the hallmarks of what I attribute the revival is my grandma's heart for the lost, for specifically the kids on drugs, the wayward kids. And it's told to me because my dad will tell me, Mom wanted us to get into the car and go to the beach again and watch the hippies. Grandma would constantly ask my grandpa, please, Charles, take me to the beach. I want to see them. I want to see the hippies. And she would sit there in her car and she would just weep and weep over the lost. Her heart was the heart of Christ, the gospel, that God says in his word that he desires that the lost would be saved. And grandpa with grandma, just not just salvation, but deep growth in the knowledge and the grace of God. That not only did your lives get transformed by the Holy Spirit, pulled out of the darkness, translated into the light, but that you were connecting with God one-on-one. And that was such a beautiful thing. You look at revival and you go, what was the key? Everybody wants to know the key. And it's like, P-R-A-Y, pray. Continue, pray without ceasing. My grandparents were people of prayer. Private devotion, corporately with the church, there was 24/7, prayer going on. There was weekly prayer meetings. There was intercessory prayer meetings. You'd go to the church, there's prayer cards to fill out. Those prayer cards would be typed out, given to the pastors on staff to pray, given to the interns to pray. You could call into the church to pray. You could come and sit in the sanctuary if you wanted to and pray. It was a house of prayer. And with that, what we know of prayer is when you're talking to God, he's giving you his heart. And he puts his desires in your heart to do what he wants to do and accomplish what he wants to do. And they just were standing back in awe and wonder because the many, many years of prayer, the Holy Spirit was like, okay, now's the time to do this. The Holy Spirit dropped on the kids. They came, they were loved by my grandparents so much that they called Grandpa Papa. And Papa Chuck and my grandma, Mama Kay. My grandparents were just as amazed at God as they were their whole entire life. I remember Grandma later in life going to Harvest Crusades, which my dad and my grandpa actually started they were called Summer Harvests back in Pacific Amphitheater, and that's a whole nother story. But they were doing these free concerts and a message, of salvation. And it had gotten so large that they started meeting at the Anaheim Stadium. So sorry. And I remember my grandma just standing there in the dugout because, when you travel with grandma and grandma, we got VIP, so we got to go into the dugout and have security and do all that stuff. And we were there and she was up in the dugout. And I just remember standing there by her when the call of salvation was gone forth, and just her still in so much amazement, and she would just go, wow, look what God is doing. And just to know that that was the heart of my grandparents, just to stand in awe of the Lord. And I have to say that when I look back and go, wow, Lord, why my grandparents? You chose them. And I got to witness their private devotion to the Lord. I got to witness just hands-on their genuine faith. These guys were the real deal, you guys. They adored the Lord. They worshiped the Lord. They feared the Lord. They loved the Lord. And they loved God's people.